We're going to talk about celibacy today. Oh, yeah, we're going there. Coming up next on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. Embrace the grace. Wonderful mug. It's a mug, it's a poster, it's a t-shirt. I love this one. And I love our coffee, our brand new coffee. It's called Java Junkie. A little bit of pecan flavor. If you like pecan pie, this is good stuff. And we have our coffee in ground in K-cups. And folks, let me just tell you, this is good stuff. You need to get you some. Just saying. Right here, we're metalwearfamily.com. Well, here's an interesting question that I am qualified to answer. Hi, Pastor Bob. I saw a coffee break you did, and you were talking about how God was calling you to be celibate. I was wondering the same thing. I've been single for 3 years, and it hasn't been for lack of trying. If this is the case, I can accept it completely. I just wanted to ask you how you knew for sure. Well, it's a great question. And I've told the story before, but I'll repeat a little bit of it. I had been engaged several times, and couldn't go through with it and realized that God was calling me to be celibate. And in those days, I didn't really know much about it. I didn't really know hardly anybody that was celibate except for some Catholic priests, and one of them became a good friend and explained a little more to me as well. But it's something that I felt like he was calling me to do, which was not something I was excited about. I had always envisioned having a big family, and I've talked about that before. But I think it's important that we realize that there are different kinds of callings for different kinds of people. And I want to go right to this scripture today because I want to use it as the foundation for my answer, as we always do. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 32 through 34. And he says, "My desire is to have you free from all anxiety and distressing care. The unmarried man is anxious about the things of the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But the married man is anxious about worldly matters, how he may please his wife. And he is drawn in diverging directions. His interests are divided, and he's distracted from his devotion to God. And the unmarried woman or girl is concerned and anxious about the matters of the Lord, how to be wholly separated and set apart in body and spirit. But the married woman has her cares centered in earthly affairs, how she may please her husband." Well, although this is true, God gives us the grace to do either one. It depends on what your calling is. And even though you're divided in your interests and directions when you're married, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. And honestly, it doesn't mean that it's an impossible thing, because God gives you the grace to do that. The fulfillment of marriage, the fulfillment of family is wonderful. In my case, I believe God wanted me to be celibate to do this ministry. It would have been very difficult to be married and to do this at the same time. And I know that my interests would have been hugely divided. And this has been more than a full-time job for a lot of years. So it depends on what God's calling you to. And I didn't understand that at the beginning. I do now. So another question would be, how many people, Pastor Bob, have you met that are actually celibate, that are called truly to celibacy? And I can count them on one hand. The people that I've met my whole life that I truly believe were called to celibacy are less than 5. Now, I've had a whole lot of people ask me about celibacy, and many that think they might be. And I usually think, no, I don't think you are. And most likely, I don't think you are either, because God doesn't call too many people there. In my experience, He just doesn't. And the blessing of being married and having someone who completes you and all of that is huge. And for those of you that are married and that you've been able to experience that, you know what I'm talking about. What a great thing. But then there are some of us that He calls to be single. And my life is rich. I have great people around me. I have a huge family. You're one of them. And that's been extremely fulfilling for me. So have I missed out? No. Because God has given me everything that I need. Could I have done this without a calling to be celibate? No, because God's grace is there for celibacy and for marriage, whichever one He's calling you to. So how did I know for sure? Because I couldn't go the other direction. Even though I had the opportunity, I couldn't go the other direction into marriage. And I would guess that if you just hang on a little bit, that God will probably bring just the right person into your life, and you'll find that marriage is the result. And if you continue to feel more and more like He's calling you to be celibate, and you can see that it has a benefit for what you're involved in and what you're doing, then it may be an option, but I would highly doubt it. Okay. Well, folks, don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.